But we're catching up, right? And then I find out he's not with Michaela anymore, and that he's not in the country anymore, that he's actually left the country. And I'm like, okay, oh geez, what's going on there? And he retells the story about how he got arrested in Australia. He said that he found out that his wife was cheating on him, that he innocently came across it on her mobile phone, which I highly doubt, and he most likely drove Michaela away because he was emotionally abusive with her, the same way he's emotionally abusive with me. And he tells a story of Michaela actually lying to the police in order to get him arrested and taken away. And he swears up and down, I did not hit her. I didn't lay a finger on her. Yes, I did swear at her, but I did not touch her. That's what he swore up and down. Now, the police in Australia, they do not get involved if it's just words. They simply don't. Like if you call up the police and say, oh, such and such did this, this, and this, if there's no evidence of that, the police simply do not get involved. So this business of, Michaela went and lied to the police and got me arrested is just nonsense. So what I think is the most likely scenario is that because the emotional abuse didn't work as a method for control, he then escalated to physical abuse. He put a mark on her. That's what I think happened. Because if the police show up, they don't arrest someone on words. They just don't. Like what most likely would have happened is the police would have been called. The police would have came around. They would have seen the mark on Michaela and instantly arrested him. That's what I think the most likely scenario is. Oh, you're not doing what I want. I'm gonna say nasty shit to you until you do what I want. Oh, that's not working. Oh, I'm gonna hit you until you do what I want. Hey, and this is the same guy that's saying to me, oh, you're not a man. You're not a man. Okay, a real man doesn't abuse his wife. A real man doesn't put a mark on his wife. Okay? A real man doesn't treat his wife like shit until she cheats. And when he got arrested, it was in front of his own kids. So his own kids got to see their father being taken away in a paddy wagon. And yet he blames Michaela for that happening and affectionately calls her asshole, as if she was the one that caused him to do that. And then he starts talking about how asshole is keeping his own kids away from him. And then mentions, instances where Michaela's supposedly done something to turn the kids against him or whatever. And he mentioned how horrid it was for someone to keep their own children away from their parents. And then after saying this big spiel about how horrid such a thing was, he then turns around and says, oh, wouldn't it be nice if my kids lived in the UK? Then they wouldn't have to deal with arsehole anymore. And I'm thinking, didn't he just say how horrid it was to keep children from their own parents? And he's wanting to do that to Michaela? And he wants them to come over for the holidays, those kids. Like, yeah, you could probably view it as, oh, look, it's just kind of like a wish or whatever. But if you look up horror stories online, there do exist horror stories about sending the kids over to the other parent for the holidays and that parent not sending them back and just keeping the kids. And the country she's going to send the kids to have a holiday with him, hey, it's all based on something called parental responsibility. And basically the parent can say, oh, look, I have parental responsibility, and the police can't do anything about it. Like the police just cannot get involved. Like if it's a case of both parents having parental responsibility, the police just don't do anything. And the qualifier for having parental responsibility, I'll read it here. A father will automatically have parental responsibility if he was married to the mother at the time of the birth or was listed on the birth certificate. So both of those kids, they would have him listed on their birth certificate. And here's a horror story that I found. The father of my son has decided not to return my child. He has access every week, but we had an argument about what time he should return my child. And he said he wasn't going to return him as he has parental responsibility. And he has found out that he can legally keep our son. I called the police, but they said they can do nothing about it as he is named on the birth certificate and therefore has PR. I am beside myself with worry. It has been 4 days now and my ex is still refusing to return him. My son is only 4 and has never been away from me longer than a day. I can't eat or sleep and I am beside myself with worry. I just want my little boy back. Now, that could be Michaela. Like, just ask yourself, is it possible for him to actually try something like this, considering how incredibly selfish he is? So yeah, I do think it's possible for him to do that. And if I were Michaela, yeah, it would be something I would be concerned about. I would make doubly sure that I crossed all my T's and dotted all my I's before I sent the kids overseas for a holiday. Or I just wouldn't do it at all. Like it just seems crazy to me. So yeah, hopefully some good Samaritan would be able to forward this to Michaela if they can, and just let her know. Or perhaps she already knows and knows how serious it is, or is wise enough to make sure it doesn't happen to her. Because yeah, he is incredibly selfish enough to uproot his own children from their lives. Yeah, and those kids, like, he doesn't care about them. He doesn't. Like, if he really cared about his kids, why the hell would he flee the country instead of staying with his kids? Why the hell wouldn't he work on his marriage to keep the family together for his kids? Why would he just up and leave when things get difficult? And those boys, they are so young. Like, you don't leave the country when your kids are that young. You don't just up and leave them. Now, that is not the actions of someone that cares about his kids. That is a deadbeat father that just doesn't give a damn. Like, sending them a postcard or sending them presents is not the same thing as being there in person for the most formative years of their childhood. Like, he makes content online under Zarius and under Zarius, and he basically makes videos of a kid's game, of Minecraft. And he actually mentioned one time how he really hated his kids interrupting him making his Minecraft videos. Basically, he wanted to do the entire video in one take. And as a parent, obviously, you're getting constant interruptions from the kids and the family and whatnot. And he hated that. And he talked about how frustrated he was making videos of this kid's game, that he would stop recording and delete the whole recording and start again once the place had settled down, I suppose. And so I said to him, oh, look, why don't you do what every other YouTuber does and just use jump cuts? Like, just record this little bit, record this next little bit, and sort of mash the two together, you know? So that way, if you get interrupted, it doesn't really matter. You can just pause it and then start off at whatever other point, you know, and just fix it up in post. Just have jump cuts. And he said, "Oh no, I don't want to do that. I want to do the whole thing in one take," he says. And he mentioned how agitated he was being around his own family. Like, what is more important to you? Making videos of a kid's game in one take, or being around your own family, your own kids? Which is more important? Like, he doesn't care about those kids. Like, if it were me, I would be overjoyed to have kids that interrupt me while I'm playing video games or doing whatever, you know? And now he's with another girl. How long is it going to be before the next one cheats on him? So I wonder how long it'll be before she gets abused. Perhaps he has to lock it down legally before any of that happens. Perhaps she'll end up being called the arsehole as well.